I think I mentioned in an earlier vlog that for Christmas someone sent me some bannetons, and I showed what they were. These are bannetons. They're baskets, they're cane baskets. They're white inside because I used them yesterday. You have to flour them a lot inside. I could have used all three. This is my third one because I made so much bread dough. I made 2 pounds of bread dough, or enough bread dough for 2 pounds of bread. But I used it yesterday, and they came out great. I'll show you a picture of what the bread looks like after it baked. A couple of pictures here. This first one of the bread cooling on the wire rack, and this one here, this photograph that I used for my, I call it my royal, my best picture of all the photographs. So the bread came out great, and what I liked about it was the simplest possible way to make bread. No additives, just simply flour, salt, yeast, and water. Those 4 ingredients. Anything beyond that is just an enhancement. And you can do a lot of things, of course, making bread. You can use rye flour to make a rye bread. You can add olives to make an olive loaf. My grandmother used to make pepperoni bread. I've done that. I've got a recipe on my website for pepperoni bread. She would cube pieces of pepperoni and cube mozzarella cheese, and she would fold that into her bread dough and make pepperoni bread. We loved her pepperoni bread. It was good, buttered and toasted under the broiler. We loved her bread. Anyways, I made this bread and it came out really, really well. The video is on YouTube right now. It's not on my website yet. I have to write the recipe up, and then I'll put it on my website. Maybe by the time you see this, it'll be on my website. If you go to the website and then look on the very bottom of the home page, that's where I have my links to advanced views of videos. These are videos that I've uploaded to YouTube, but they haven't gone public yet. So I let the fans to my website and the people on Patreon, the patrons on Patreon, I give them early access. They can watch the video before I monetize them. So there's no commercials, there's no ads until I get ready to go public on them. Anyways, about a week before they go public, I monetize them to see whether or not YouTube will mark them as inappropriate for advertisers. So far, they haven't marked any of my videos. Since that initial fiasco, I wrote them a nice letter, and I said, this is what I'm doing in my videos. I think what they did was they just blanket cleared my YouTube channel, because I've got over 300 videos on there, and none of them have ever been controversial. They're all cooking videos. So I think they just blanket cleared my YouTube channel. I can put up new videos, and they're probably not even examined by YouTube to see whether or not they're appropriate. And they would be appropriate because I'm still doing cooking videos. So anyways, it's on YouTube now, but it hasn't gone public yet. Maybe next Sunday. This Sunday I'm going to be putting up, it's actually there, but it hasn't gone public yet, my video of making yogurt in my Instant Pot. A few other things that I wanted to talk about. I've mentioned before that I read, I think it's Michael Wolff, is that his name? Michael Wolff, who wrote the book Fire and Fury, this tell-all expose on what's going on in what's going on in the White House, the Trump White House. I'm still amazed. Well, I shouldn't be amazed. I'm not surprised, but maybe envious is a better word, that he had such open access. He said he had a semi-permanent place on the sofa in the West Wing. And he admitted that he was there kind of under false pretenses, that he was going to do a book about the first 100 days of Trump's presidency, and it was going to be more of a praise book on how good of a president he was being, when really he was collecting the dirt. And there's been some argument as to whether or not it's fiction or not. If you voted for Trump, it's fiction. If you wanted Hillary Clinton or Bernie Sanders, if you hated Trump, it's fact. Let's put it that way. People commented on it, and whatever. I can't help but disregard those, because I know where those comments are coming from. You know, people who voted for Trump and who still want Trump to be president, they're not going to like Wolff's book. whatever. I don't care. I don't care. I really don't care. But I read that book. I followed that with a reading. What was the name of that book? Devil's Bargain. Devil's Bargain. It was the history, kind of going back a little bit earlier, of Steve Bannon and what he was doing in connection with Breitbart and meeting Trump and getting involved with Trump's campaign and leading up to, the book really ends at the point at which November 6th, 2016, November 8th, when Trump was elected as president. So it's kind of like what led up to it. And I got to tell you, I read some of these books and I think, this is why I don't vote. This is why I don't vote. And I don't. I don't vote in these elections because they're all corrupt. You know, I consider myself more of a liberal than a conservative, although at 67 years old, I'll be 67 in July, I've got a lot of conservative ways, but I don't care. I'm not a Democrat and I'm not a Republican. I'm not even an independent. I just don't care. I don't trust any of them. I don't trust government anymore. I'm one of these people who has lost all faith. Maybe not all faith, but I'm one of these people who have lost a lot of faith in the American government because it's a strong word to say that they're corrupt. But for example, in one of these books, it said that the two sides of the aisle in Congress, they fight each other, but then when the cameras aren't on them, they're patting each other on the back, saying, we got this, we got that. For example, the tax bill that just was passed recently, where they're changing the tax laws. Why wasn't there more democratic upheaval about this bill? Why didn't they fight it more? Because it helped the wealthiest people more than the middle class. And the middle class will lose. After a few years, they'll lose their benefits from the tax plan, but the wealthy won't. Their benefits are permanent unless Congress changes them. Why weren't the Democrats fighting that more? Well, because they're wealthy too. They benefited too. So yeah, they say, oh well, it's benefiting the rich. It's not helping enough of the middle class. But then they didn't oppose it. They voted for it. Why should they cut their nose off to spite their face? They're profiting by it. See, that's why I read these books, because I want to know what's going on. I don't want to feel as though they can dupe me. I don't want to be one of the, I'm sorry, but one of the stupid people, you know, that votes without really knowing what's going on. And a lot of people don't vote for a candidate anyways. They vote against. They hated Hillary Clinton because she was being dishonest. The millions of dollars that the Clinton Foundation and giving talks on Wall Street and so forth. She and Bill are among the wealthy too. And the thing with the wealthy is they just can't get enough. More money, more money, more money, more money. So crooked Hillary, I didn't like her. I wanted her to be president more than I wanted Trump to be president because I thought at least she knows how Washington works. Going back to the Michael Wolff book, why did he have such easy access to the West Wing? It's because the people who were in the West Wing were not Washingtonians. They didn't know how Washington works. So everybody just assumed that somebody gave Wolff clearance to come into the White House and record what was going on. If Hillary Clinton had been president, there's no way Wolff would have had that kind of access to the White House. Not that she would have been a great president. Obama wasn't a great president. He got some things through early in his first term in office, but he wasn't a great president. You know, one of the things he was most known for, if you read the books, is using drones to murder enemies of America in other countries. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? Well, they're enemies, but how dangerous are they to America? Sometimes it's just enough to be labeled as an enemy, even though you're not dangerous to anyone. Just being labeled as an enemy is enough to get you killed. Anyways, I read Devil's Bargain, and now I'm reading a new book. I just started reading it. I knew these books were going to come out. I said in an earlier vlog that I knew the authors were writing them. Was it David Korn, Isikoff? John Dean is probably writing one. I'm sure Bob Woodward is writing one. These books, I knew they were going to come out. I'm reading, it's called It's Even Worse Than You Think, What the Trump Administration is Doing to America. That's the newest book that I'm reading. It's kind of funny to read that because there was another book that was written, several years ago. It's even worse. It's worse than it looks, which was about the Bush-Cheney administration and what they were really doing behind the scenes, that the Iraq war, going in there because we don't want the smoking gun to be a mushroom cloud. And only afterwards they found that there were no WMDs, no weapons of mass destruction. Saddam Hussein didn't have a nuclear plan. Why did they go in there when there was no real credible danger, but they leave North Korea alone? And they've got the missiles. They have an atomic plan, a nuclear plan for nuclear weapons. Why did they go into Iraq? Oil. We couldn't take the oil because that's Iraq's sovereignty, but the plan was to make some kind of a deal with the Iraqis, the president, the puppet president that they would put into power, that we liberated your country, now give us a really low price on oil, undercut OPEC prices, and that would help the U.S. economy and help the Republicans, blah, 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 blah. Anyways, this is a new book that I'm reading, and it's so far it's pretty good. I'm just starting it, so I can't say too much about it, but the books are coming out, and I'm going to be reading books probably for the next 2, 4, maybe 8 years about the Trump administration. I wanted to just talk a little bit more about the bread. It's good. It's good. I ate. This is all I have left of one of the 2 loaves. The other loaf is sectioned and it's stored in the freezer so I can enjoy that later. It's good bread. It's a simple bread, and that's the beauty of bread, is you don't really need to make it complicated. Flour, salt, yeast, water. That's the basics for making bread. Anything beyond that is just enhancements, and it came out great. One person already asked me for the recipe, and I told her, I said, you couldn't go any easier than this. There's no way to make bread any easier than this, because you need these 4. I suppose you could make it without salt, but it wouldn't taste very good. So I've done that. I forgot to put salt in bread, and I butter it. And when I butter it, I put a little bit of salt under the butter before I butter it to make up for the fact that I forgot to add salt. Doesn't taste good without salt, but it was good bread. And the video is done. It'll go public the next week or 2. Oh, and one other thing. I talked about my Pedigo e-bike, my electric bike. Finally, I haven't got it yet. It's been shipped. It's on its way. I finally found what I was looking for a bike carrier. What happened? I was driving home from the store and I saw this SUV with this bike carrier on the back with a pair of bikes. And I thought, that's it. That's what I want. And I tried to follow him, and I did follow him, but I didn't get there in time to talk to him or her, whoever was driving the SUV. But I managed to find the car in the Costco parking lot, and I parked near it and was able to look over the bike rack. It's a Thule, Thule, Thule bike carrier, and ideal. The problem I have is that the tire on the back of my vehicle, I have my big tires on my car. They're thick, they're muscle tires. It's big, and it takes up room. I'm not going to be able to get 2 bikes on the back of my SUV, but that's okay. I only ever need to carry one. The local Pedigo dealership has they have, it's winter time now, so they're not doing it now, but during the spring they'll start up again. They have group rides where people show up with their Pedigos, and they might go bike for 2, 3, 5, 6 miles, who knows, stop somewhere for coffee, chat, enjoy some association. That could be fun, but I got to get my bike down there, down to the city. And so this way, now that I've got a bike carrier, or will have, I can put my bike on the back of my SUV, which my bike is heavy. I got to tell you, I'm not a strong man. I should join a gym, but I can't lift my bike up onto this carrier. However, the battery, which weighs 9 pounds, if I pull that out, there's just enough strength in my arms, I think, to get this bike up onto the carrier, and I'll just put the battery inside the car. I don't need to put it back in the bike until I get down there. So, anyways, that's nice. That finishes that whole e-bike project of mine. I got my bike, I had my trailer hitch installed on my car, and now I'm getting this bike carrier. So I'm looking forward to getting more exercise. So that's the latest. I made some bread. I'm reading more books, and the books are coming out faster than I can keep up with them. And I'm going to be enjoying my Pedigo e-bike, especially when we get into spring weather, enjoying it more. So thanks for listening. If you like what you're hearing, please feel free. Please subscribe, and thanks.